All right, let's talk about strategic marketing. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Sounds a little dry, a little corporate, right? But honestly, it's not. Think of it as the map and the compass that every single great business uses to navigate its way to success. So let's get into it.
You ever look at a really successful company and just wonder, how do they do it? How do they consistently come out on top year after year, even when the competition is fierce? It's a fantastic question, and the answer, well, it's actually more straightforward than you might think.
See, they're not just lucky, and they don't just work harder than everyone else. The best of the best are master planners. They treat their entire business strategy like an epic adventure, planning out the journey with incredible detail before they even take that first step.
And that's exactly the journey we're going on today. First, we're going to talk about how to choose your arena. Then, we'll scan the horizon to see what's coming. After that, we'll set a crystal clear destination. And finally, we'll chart the course that's going to get us there.
All right, let's dive right in. Part 1 is all about choosing your arena. Because, let's be honest, you can't win the game if you don't even know which game you're playing or who you're playing with. So, the first tool we pull out of the toolbox is market segmentation. It's a really powerful idea. Instead of trying to be everything to everybody, you slice up that huge, overwhelming market into smaller, more manageable groups. This lets you find the exact people you can serve better than anyone else, because you get what they need on a deep level.
And this process really has two main parts. Over on the left, you've got the market survey phase. Think of this as your reconnaissance mission. You're out there gathering intel, understanding the lay of the land. Then on the right, you move into market development. This is where you take all that intel and make a decision about which specific groups you're going to go after.
So in practice, it kind of unfolds in 3 steps. First, segment formation. You're just grouping potential customers together. Next up is segment profiling, where you create these incredibly detailed personas for those groups. And finally, targeting. This is the big one, where you decide where you're going to focus all your energy and resources.
So how do you keep these segments from just being numbers on a spreadsheet? You create a persona. This isn't just data points. It's about building a fictional character who represents your ideal customer. You can build out a whole profile, just like this one, for an ambitious director we're calling Tamara Cavendish, to understand her not just as data, but as a person.
And when you give that persona a voice, everything changes. A quote like this tells you so much. Tamara isn't just buying a product. She's buying back her time. She's looking for a solution that helps her win. Suddenly, your target market isn't an abstract concept anymore. It's a human being you can actually help. Let's see what comes next.
Okay, part 2, scan the horizon. So we've picked our arena. Now, any good explorer will tell you you have to understand the terrain. This is where we take a really deep look at everything around us that could either help or hurt us on this journey.
We're essentially looking in 2 directions at once. First, we look in the mirror at our strengths and weaknesses. These are the things inside our own company that we actually have control over. Then, we look out the window at the opportunities and threats. These are the forces out in the world that are totally outside our control, but we have to be ready for them.
Now, for that external look, a classic tool is Porter's 5 Forces. I want you to think of this as your competitive weather forecast. It helps you figure out all the pressures in your market, new competitors, the power your suppliers have, how intense the rivalry is. Basically, it tells you if you're sailing into a massive storm or clear, sunny skies.
And for the internal side of things, we can use a framework like the product life cycle. If our strategy is a journey, this is kind of like checking the condition of our gear. Is our main product brand new, just getting started? Is it in a high growth phase, or is it mature, maybe even heading for a decline? Knowing this is absolutely crucial for figuring out your next move.
And all of this scanning, all this intelligence gathering from looking in the mirror and out the window, it all comes together in one of the most famous tools in the entire world of business strategy, the SWOT analysis.
Now here's the secret. A good SWOT analysis isn't just a list of 4 things. It's a strategic grid where the magic happens. You start combining these factors to ask really powerful questions. How can we use our strengths to jump on these opportunities? Or how can we use those same strengths to defend against these threats? This is where raw information transforms into an actual, actionable strategy.
And this analysis has real-world consequences. It's what helps you do a portfolio analysis, which is just a fancy way of saying it tells you where to place your bets. Do you pour more money and people into an area with huge potential, or do you pull back from a part of the business that's in a really tough market? The analysis guides your actions.
Which brings us to part 3, set your destination. I mean, a journey without a destination, that's just wandering, right?
Once you know the arena and you scan the landscape, you have to decide exactly where you're trying to go.
And the absolute best way to set a good destination is using the SMART framework. It forces your goals to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. It's the difference between saying, we want to grow, and saying, we want to increase our market share by 10% in the next 12 months. See the difference? One's a wish, the other is a plan.
And these big objectives usually fall into one of a few key buckets. Is your main goal customer acquisition, getting new people in the door? Or is it customer retention, making sure the people you already have are happy and stick around? Or maybe it's even customer recovery, trying to win back people who've left. Any of them can be the right destination.
And that takes us to the grand finale, Part 4, Chart Your Course. We know our arena, we know the terrain, and we have our destination locked in. So now, how are we actually going to get there? It's time to pick the path.
A brilliant tool for this is the Ansoff Matrix. Just think of it as a map of your strategic possibilities. It makes you answer two simple questions. Are we going after our existing customers or new ones? And are we going to use our existing products or develop new ones? Your answers put you somewhere on this map.
And as you can probably guess, the paths on the left are generally lower risk. You're on familiar ground. The paths on the right, though, they're higher risk. You're venturing into the unknown. The key isn't that one is better than the other. It's about choosing the path that fits your company's ambition and, just as important, your resources. And that really brings us to the most important takeaway of all. A strategic plan isn't some dusty document you create once and then stick on a shelf. No way. It's a living, breathing compass. It's the tool you pull out every single day to make sure that every decision you make, big or small, is still pointing you true north toward your destination.
So there you have it. From choosing your arena all the way to charting your course, you now have the framework for a successful strategic journey. So I guess the only question left to ask is, what's your first step going to be?